Good evening, friends. Welcome to a reading vlog. I don't know if you can hear it, but we're having a thunderstorm. It is pouring down rain, and I have 3 NetGalley digital arcs that I have accepted. One I requested myself, I believe the other 2 publishers reached out and I accepted. If you've been following this channel for a while, I don't love e-reading. I think in part because of how I read. I like to take notes, I like to have the pen in hand, and I know you can highlight, and I know you can but I find it annoying. And also because it's not something I do very often, it's always dead. I think it's the perfect night for this. I have a digital arc of Certain Dark Things by, now it's not loading. So I am reading Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I have access to this arc for free in exchange for an honest review through NetGalley. It's about vampires. So far, I'm 35% in, and why are you beeping at me? You're charged. We have 3 point of views? 2 point of views. There's the detective Anna, and then there's the drug lord vampire on the run, Atoll, and her human minion Domingo. I'm really not sure where this is going. I mean, confrontation, obviously. I'm seeing commentary on colonialism, commentary on the corruption of cops. The police are more interested in just closing cases rather than investigating them. You can see some corruption within the police force, so a critique of cops. And then we also have class, social class commentary. So there's a lot going on here, so I'm not quite sure what tropes Moreno-Garcia is going to be playing with here. So I'm excited. So that's where I'm at with this, and I'm gonna check in with you throughout the evening as I tackle this. Okay, so things are picking up. Atoll and Domingo are trying to get fake papers to sneak into Guatemala. They can't go north because the Godoy family is looking for her, so they must go south. It's picking up quite a bit. I'm very much intrigued at 42%. All right, hello, good morning. It is Sunday. Yesterday was a very busy day. We've made a little bubble of fully vaxxed folks who are all very cautious, all work from home. And so we went out and played disc golf, which is a nice outdoor, easily distanceable activity. In the afternoon, I did a little bit of reading, and I did a little bit of gardening, and I can probably insert some clips now. I think I took some clips. Everything is massive. I had so many overgrown herbs that I just I cut down and chopped up and either dried or froze or used fresh. We made hummus yesterday, and then we took that hummus and we met up with another couple in our bubble for another outdoor distanced snacks and mimosas. Yesterday was super busy. I did manage to get some reading. I haven't done any reading this morning yet because my book has to charge. How annoying is that? Basically, this is just me being a whiny asshole because my book has to charge. So I finished up Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. She wrote Mexican Gothic, and Certain Dark Things is a reissuing of one of her earlier works, and I feel like you can feel that. Every one of her works is apparently slightly different. You're never going to get the same thing from Moreno-Garcia. She's always exploring new things, and so Certain Dark Things is a very noir film inspired. So if you can think of the drama of a noir film.
Tell me again.
I love you, darling. I love you.
Darling, I don't care what happens now. I just don't care.
Laura, don't keep saying that. Please don't keep saying it.
I won't. I won't say it anymore. Because I do care.
Havana, will you win of tomorrow? In this passion to sorrow, break your
Get them.
promise of
No. matter? Lorna!
Lorna. Lorna.
And it's a detective piece. It has vampires. So like, picture all of those elements, and that's sort of the tone of the writing. And while I definitely appreciated what it was doing, and like I think it nailed what it set out to do in terms of writing, I found it a little bit like cheesy and silly sometimes, which is definitely what it was supposed to be. Like, it was supposed to be like a noir film, like kind of dramatic, right? There were parts of it that I really enjoyed. She collects vampire folklore from all over the world and pitches basically that there are 10 species of vampires. One of our main characters is I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically she is like an indigenous South American style of vampire, very much linked to the Aztecs. In the 70s, there was this global recognition of vampires that resulted in a lot of the wealthier countries taking measures to push out this plague and like highly regulate who is allowed in their country. And so European vampires ended up in the developing world that had less of these structures in place to keep out vampires. And so there's this colonial narrative that's happening that I think is very interesting. I think from a book club perspective, there's a lot to talk about. Like, with the noir style, it's pulpy enough that I feel like it's a very accessible book club read with deep conversation potential. I believe I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because it's not something that I would personally reread, even though I loved certain aspects of it. I didn't quite love the writing, while I totally appreciate that it is doing what it set out to do. I think it nailed it, but I didn't love it, right? It's not that it was bad writing, it's that it was a specific style of writing that I didn't love. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The second book that I have been working on is a digital arc for Light from Uncommon Stars. I believe it has a cover now. Somebody who works for the publisher reached out on Goodreads and was like, hey, I see that you've read Becky Chambers. Would you be interested in this arc? I said yes. We have a couple of different perspectives happening here as well. So we have a trans girl named Katrina who has left her abusive home, and she's gone to LA because she thinks she has a friend there who she can stay with. There is a world famous violin teacher who has made a deal with a demon, it seems like for eternal youth or eternal life. She has agreed to trade the 7 souls of her violin prodigies in exchange for, it sounds like, eternal life. And part of that bargain is she can no longer play or perform herself, and all records of her performance, all records of her being this famous violinist have been scrubbed from the earth. And then we have a group of aliens who have bought a Vietnamese donut place and are using space tech to run this donut shop. Like, they don't actually make the donuts, they use technology to produce perfect donuts, and it's a front for building some sort of Stargate. So there's some sort of intergalactic war happening, and they have escaped by coming to Earth, and they are hiding as Vietnamese donut bakers. And all 3 of these characters sort of overlap. The violin teacher and the mom alien are maybe gay for each other. Like, they're maybe feeling out a little bit of a romance so far. Like, when I first started reading it, I was like, this is bizarre, and I'm not seeing the Becky Chambers vibes. It took a while to get into where you start to maybe see the Becky Chambers vibes. So we'll see where this goes. I did try and clean up my office a little bit. I'm not sitting in front of it right now, but I moved all of the yarn I moved all, so this used to be my like yarn shelf, and I stacked the books like 2 to 3 rows deep to eliminate a bookcase and to get myself some more space. And then I put all of my yarn in this bookcase so that I can still like choose and craft. Like right now when I'm stressed, I will making a rainbow granny square blanket. So when I'm stressed, I'll just grab 3 colors and like complete a square. So I wanted to keep the yarn upstairs and accessible. But I did move it out of shot. So I'm hoping that this gives me a more aesthetic background to film in front of, because I realize the background of a lot of my videos is just chaos. I hate it. I'm sure folks watching probably hate it because there's so much stuff in the background. I am working on it. I did price out custom shelves, and I don't know if anybody's tried to build anything recently, but throughout the pandemic, the cost of wood is bananas. Like, it is unreasonable to build anything. But I think the way to get the most space in this room is to build custom shelves. And I did price it out. I found the best place to get the rails and the brackets, and I found decently priced wood. So now it's just a matter of saving up. Now that I have like the 2 places where I know I'm going to source these items from, it's just a matter of saving up. So probably looking at a few more months, which is what motivated me to try and clean this up, because I know how long I'm gonna have to sit in a room that is feeling less and less enjoyable to sit in. That's all. I just wanted to show you the space. I'm still sitting in front of basically like art stuff and the children's literature bookcase, but yeah, it feels a little bit better. It feels fresh anyways. So I'm gonna get to reading, and I'll check in with you in a little bit.
Much later.
Good evening, friends. It's been several days since I've updated you. So the next book I read, I don't think I got any vlog footage for. I read it over 2 days, and it's Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. So Ryka Aoki is a trans woman, and this novel, one of the perspectives is of a young trans girl who is not accepted at home and who runs away, and she intersects with a violin teacher who has made a deal with the devil. She's literally called the Queen of Hell because 6 of her previous students have died mysteriously after achieving incredible fame. Katrina, our runaway trans girl, ends up meeting the Queen of Hell, and she takes her on as a student. She sort of adopts her, takes care of her, starts to train her, and they develop almost a familial relationship. Like, this is the first, it's a found family narrative in terms of their teacher-student relationship. But then also, space aliens have escaped a space war. They bought a Vietnamese donut place from some retiring folk. They are using advanced space technology to replicate soulless donuts as their front. They are fronting as the Tran family, and they are making soulless space donuts. Same recipes as the Vietnamese couple who own the donut place, but without any like love and imperfections that make things, handmade things, special. So there's a lot going on. When I first started seeing the different perspectives, I wasn't sure how it was all going to work together, but I'm pleased to report that it did. It totally worked for me. I totally get the Becky Chambers reference. It is character-driven, soft sci-fi, queer. The mother, the captain of the alien donut shop owners, and the Queen of Hell have this like flirtation happening. We have this queer lesbian relationship. We have great friendships. I loved it. You see so many similar vibes in Becky Chambers' works, and I also believe that Ryka Aoki is starting a series with this book. On Goodreads it has like a series name. Now sometimes Goodreads just adds things for the sake of adding things, so I'm not sure if we can believe that at this point, but there's definitely room left at the ending within this world, like obviously they keep mentioning this intergalactic war that they're escaping from. So there's room for prequels, there's room for sequels. I would love to see more of this universe. So I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Put it on your wish list so that when it comes out you can get it on your library hold list. Like, it was just cozy. It's so good. It's so good. I'm so glad I said yes to this because I get a lot of weird offers and oftentimes I'm like, did you even look at my channel for like 5 seconds? Right? You're just spamming every person that you see. Whereas this was like actually a good ask, a good offer, and I'm glad I accepted it. So I've been charging my tablet all day. So I have 2 books that I've requested access to. I have Flowers for the Sea and I have Nothing But Blackened Teeth. So let's do a quick Google and I will tell you about both of them. The Flowers for the Sea is by Zin E. Rocklyn, a dazzling debut novella that reads like Rosemary's Baby by way of Octavia E. Butler. We are people who do not forget. Survivors from a flooded kingdom struggle alone on an ark. Ooh. Resources are scant, and ravenous beasts circle. Their fangs are sharp. Among the refugees is Araxi, ostracized, despised, and a commoner who refused a prince. She's pregnant with a child that might be more than human. Her fate may be darker and more powerful than she can imagine. Rocklyn's extraordinary debut is a lush gothic fantasy about the prices we pay and the vengeance we seek, which sounds fucking rad. Okay, I could be down for a novella, and I think Nothing But Blackened Teeth is horror. So Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw is a gorgeously creepy haunted house tale. Ooh. Steeped in Japanese folklore and full of devastating twists. A Heian-era mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bridge, and its walls packed with the remains of the girls sacrificed to keep her company. It's the perfect wedding venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends. But a night of food, drinks, and games quickly spirals into a nightmare, for lurking in the shadows is the ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart. She gets lonely down there in the dirt. Okay, I'm excited for both. I think I'm gonna do the horror one. The novella sounds like a fantastic, easy win because it's a novella, so like I could maybe crush it in a few hours. So I think I'm gonna try and tackle the larger horror text. Oh, she works for Ubisoft Montreal. I've never seen an arc like promo the author right up front, but alright. I'm gonna get to reading and I shall report back.
Later that same evening.
How far are you obligated to get into a book before you DNF it? I'm at 10% and the writing is atrocious. I'd probably read the first couple pages. This would make me put it down. I wouldn't buy it. Philip dropped his suitcases at the door and palmed the back of his neck, looking sheepish. So this tells me that the author doesn't trust me to understand human emotions. Because if somebody's going like this, we know that they're like feeling guilty, feeling a little bit awkward about something that they just did. She shows me and then she tells me what I was supposed to see. And talks about how pretty Philip is, poster boy perfect, everyone craved him like a vice. Everyone craved him like a vice. It feels like they haven't quite mastered what a simile does. He either is everybody's vice or they crave him. I don't think we need both. Another page. A door thumped shut and we both jumped, turned like cogs. End of sentence. All my grief riled somewhere else. Why? I don't know. I don't like why jump and then grief is riled somewhere else. I swear if that moment wasn't magic, wasn't everything that is right and good, nothing else in the world is allowed to call itself beautiful. It was perfect. A Hallmark commercial in freeze frame. Autumn leaves swirling against a backdrop of beach and white cedar, God rays dripping between the boughs. Faiz and Nadia emerged, arms looped together, eyes only for each other, smiling so hard that all I wanted to do was promise them that forever will always, eternally, unchangingly be just like this. Turn the page. There's some Japanese that she hears, my head jackknifed up. There it was, the stutter of a girl's voice, sweet despite its coarseness, coarseness, like a square of fabric worn ragged, like a sound carried on the last ragged breath, ragged twice in one sentence, of a failing record player. And this is the point where I turned the camera on. Philip's expression cragged with guilt he'd held for years like a reliquary. Somebody broke out the thesaurus after putting ragged twice in one sentence. So most of the writing in the first like 3 pages is so overly descriptive to the point of being obnoxious. It's driving me bananas. But then we have these sentences, and this isn't the first time it's happened, but this is the first one I'm going to talk about. We have these sentences where it's like she realized that she overused a word and she's like, oh, you know what will really add clarity? That his expression cragged, C-R-A-G-G-E-D. His expression cragged with guilt. What does cragged even mean? Is this connected to the internet? Like a steep or rugged cliff or rock face. So Google search, the dictionary isn't recognizing cragged as a verb, but rather as a noun, which is a steep or rugged cliff or rock face. So his expression, is it like crinkly with guilt? Is it like a flat stone face? No emotions, and that's what his guilty face looks like. And he's held on to this guilt for years, like a reliquary. A container for holy relics. His guilt is like his guilt is like a holy reliquary. He's been holding on to his guilt with the same like reverence and awe of a holy container. I can't. Oh my god, I'm DNFing it. In looking up those 2 words, I absolutely can't. So, well, that was very short-lived. So, nothing but blackened teeth. Sounds fantastic. I cannot with the writing. Holy cow. Like, I am getting annoyed. And that is not a good sign. Now, I know that this is an uncorrected proof, but if it's in the arc phase, I feel like the changes at this point should be minor. Like, this is coming out this October. October or November. So no, absolutely not. I will not be continuing with this. The next sentence here is, her lipstick game sharp as a paper cut. Holy shit. And I'm going to be moving on to Flowers for the Sea by Zin E, Rocklyn. This is on sale October 2021. This is the cover that they have for it. I don't know if that's going to be the final cover, but it is beautiful. Like, that color combination, very striking. If this does go, like, if this is the cover they move forward with, it's a gorgeous cover.
Several days later.
Hi friends. So it is actually several days later. I finished Flowers for the Sea by Zin E, Rocklyn on July 16th. It is now the 24th, and I am actually in the process of editing this video when I come to you. So this book has had a little bit of time to percolate. This is a story that is full of rage. Like, I think that is the overwhelming emotion that you can feel in this book. She is heavily pregnant on a boat in the ocean with a bunch of people who hate her. She is very isolated. She does not want to give birth to the baby that she's carrying. A lot of women are infertile. They either don't get pregnant or the babies don't survive. And she is this like sore spot for a lot of the women on the boat because her pregnancy so far does seem to be successful. The majority of this is her laboring to give birth. I almost feel like this fits more into body horror than I believe like the marketing for this pitches it as dark fantasy, because it's sort of this world like ours, but something's gone wrong and now everybody's on an ark, and like big sea creatures are sort of surrounding the boat, and like they can't go out at night because there are creatures that will like pluck them off the deck and eat them. Like, it's a world that's gone a little bit mad maybe speaking a little bit to climate crisis and like the abuse of our planet coming back to haunt us. But like also the labor that she's going through is graphic. Like it is, I almost want to say it's like chunky. It's moist. And it's just bodily, rage-filled, heavily emotional, gory. I don't know how else to describe it. I got sucked into it. It's definitely something that you kind of want to read in one shot. I don't even know who I would pitch this to. In terms of what I'm doing with my own reading, which is sort of exploring what women are doing in the horror genre, the preoccupations of being a woman, and then the intersection of womanness and blackness, because I think there's a lot of race commentary in here as well. Like, it's sort of in a fantasy space, but I do think we get the sense that our main character, Iraxi? Yes. Our main character, Iraxi, is, like, not only othered because of her pregnancy, she's othered because of her race. Like, whatever race and class is happening in this sort of step away from our world fantasy, she is a capital O other. If you're interested in horror, if you're interested in the body, if you're interested in a book club read, honestly, I think this would make a phenomenal book club read because it's short, it's engrossing, it is very like visceral, and I think it will provoke a lot of emotions. I think you can get at this from a lot of different angles, from race, from gender, the role of mother that's sort of been forced upon Iraxi. I'm finding it hard to be like, this is why you should read it, this is why you should buy it, because it was a unpleasant, uncomfortable experience, and that is exactly what it set out to do. It set out to force me to bear witness to discomfort, to pain, to horror, to bodily horror. I gave this a 4 to 5 stars, like in terms of how it made me feel, how the writing sucked me in, made me deeply uncomfortable, made me feel the like grossness and pain. The highest rated book here in this vlog I gave a 5 stars because I think it's a good book club read. You can spark a lot of conversations with it, but it's also cozy. Light from Uncommon Stars, in the end, feels hopeful and cozy and like a comforting read, which is something that like I definitely read right now. Flowers for the Sea is not a hug of a book, but is nonetheless a well-crafted piece, and if you are interested in it, if it sparked your interest at all, if you're a fan of speculative fiction and women's speculative fiction, women pushing into the genre and critiquing and subverting, black women pushing into the genre, critiquing, subverting, I think there's a lot of conversation to be had here. I don't think enjoyed is the right word, because I don't think you're meant to enjoy a book where the like, it radiates rage. And I feel like it's hard to enjoy a book that radiates rage. Like, it definitely does what it set out to do. Those are the 4 arcs that I had on my NetGalley shelf. I have read them all. I have reviewed them all. I'm hoping that you found something in here today, something that maybe sparked your interest. Put a little like pin in your noggin. All of these books come out in the fall. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to patrons for making videos like this possible. I really appreciate the work that they enable me to do. I hope you're all doing well, that you are staying safe, that you are taking care of yourself, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!